Over 60, you may already have cancer cells. 5 habits that could slow their growth, doctor explains. If you're over 60, there's a good chance that cancer cells already exist somewhere inside your body right now. The shocking part is that they may never harm you. In fact, many people live for years, even decades, with tiny cancerous or potentially cancerous cells and never develop a life-threatening tumor. That may sound impossible, but by the end of this video, you'll understand why this is one of the most encouraging discoveries in modern health science. Before we begin, take a moment to subscribe to the channel and tell me your age in the comments below. Are you 60, 70, 80, or older? I read as many comments as possible, and I always enjoy hearing from our community. Now let's talk about something that frightens almost everyone. The word cancer. For many people, hearing that word immediately creates fear because they imagine a disease that appears suddenly and grows out of control. But what if cancer is often much slower than most people realize? What if the body gives us years, and sometimes decades, to influence the outcome? Years ago, researchers made a fascinating observation. During autopsies performed on people who died from completely unrelated causes, such as accidents, heart attacks, or other sudden events, doctors discovered something remarkable. Many of these individuals had small cancers that had never been diagnosed. Tiny cancers in the prostate, tiny cancers in the breast, tiny cancers in the thyroid. Yet those cancers never became dangerous enough to affect their lives. These people died from something else entirely. Think about what that means. It means that having abnormal cells in the body does not automatically mean you are destined to develop aggressive cancer. It means there may be a long period during which those cells remain dormant, slow-growing, or controlled by the body's natural defense systems. And that's where today's discussion becomes so important. Because while no lifestyle can guarantee cancer prevention and no food can cure cancer, research suggests that the environment inside your body matters. Inflammation matters. Blood sugar control matters. Hormone balance matters. Immune function matters. Sleep matters. Physical activity matters. The foods you choose every day matter. To understand why, let's imagine a single abnormal cell. 1 cell is invisible. 2 cells are invisible. 4 cells are invisible. 8 cells are invisible. Even thousands of abnormal cells remain far too small to detect. For a tumor to become large enough for a doctor to feel during an examination or large enough to clearly appear on imaging tests, it often needs to go through approximately 30 cycles of doubling. Think about that. 1 becomes 2. 2 become 4. 4 become 8. 8 becomes 16. 16 become 32. The process continues again and again until eventually millions and then billions of cells accumulate. Only then does the tumor become large enough to attract attention. But here's what most people don't realize. Those doubling cycles can take a surprisingly long time. Depending on the type of cancer, a single doubling cycle may take weeks, months, or even years. Some studies have estimated that certain tumors may require many years before they become detectable. In some situations, the journey from one abnormal cell to a detectable tumor may span decades. This means something incredibly important. It means there is often a window of opportunity. A window during which your daily choices may influence the environment in which those cells live. Scientists often describe cancer development as a process rather than a single event. Many models divide this process into 3 broad stages. The first stage is initiation, when genetic damage or abnormal changes occur within a cell. The second stage is promotion, during which those abnormal cells receive signals that encourage growth and multiplication. The third stage is progression, when those cells acquire additional changes that allow them to become increasingly aggressive. What is fascinating is that the promotion stage can last for years, sometimes many years. This means that factors such as chronic inflammation, excess body fat, elevated blood sugar, poor sleep, smoking, heavy alcohol consumption, and unhealthy dietary patterns may influence what happens during this period. And that brings us to one of the most powerful questions you can ask yourself. What kind of environment am I creating inside my body every day? Let me tell you about a man named Michael. When Michael first came looking for help, he was 71 years old. He had lived with type 2 diabetes for almost 20 years. Every year seemed worse than the last. His blood sugar numbers were climbing. His medications kept increasing. He felt tired most of the time. He struggled with low energy, poor sleep, and a growing sense that his health was slipping away. His doctors were beginning to discuss insulin therapy. Michael felt frustrated because despite taking medications, he didn't feel healthier. One evening, while sitting with his family, his granddaughter asked a simple question. "Grandpa, why are you always tired?" That question hit him harder than any laboratory result ever could. He realized he didn't want to spend the next decade watching life pass by from a chair. He wanted energy. He wanted strength. He wanted to enjoy time with the people he loved. So he made a decision. He would change his lifestyle. Not temporarily. Not for a few weeks. Permanently. The first thing he did was increase the amount of fruits and vegetables in his diet. Now I know you've heard that recommendation countless times. But there is a reason it appears again and again in health research. Fruits and vegetables provide fiber, vitamins, minerals, antioxidants, and thousands of natural compounds known as phytochemicals. These compounds help support normal cellular processes and contribute to a healthier internal environment. Instead of focusing on what he couldn't eat, Michael focused on what he could add. More berries, more leafy greens, more colorful vegetables, more legumes, more whole foods. Over time, he noticed something remarkable. His energy began to improve. His digestion improved. His blood sugar readings became more stable. He felt lighter, clearer, and more optimistic. And this was only the beginning. As Michael continued making changes, something interesting began to happen. The improvements he noticed were not limited to his blood sugar. He started waking up with more energy. He felt less sluggish after meals. His mood improved. His confidence returned. For the first time in years, he felt as though he had some control over his future. And that's when he learned an important lesson. The body often responds positively when we consistently give it what it needs. One of the foods Michael began incorporating into his diet was soy. Now, soy has been surrounded by confusion for years. Some people believe it is harmful. Others believe it is a miracle food. The truth is much more balanced. Traditional soy foods such as tofu, edamame, and unsweetened soy milk contain naturally occurring compounds called isoflavones. Scientists have spent decades studying these compounds because of their potential role in healthy aging and hormone regulation. In several populations around the world where soy consumption is common, researchers have observed lower rates of certain chronic diseases compared with populations consuming heavily processed diets. Does this mean soy prevents cancer? No. Science does not support such a simple conclusion. But it does suggest that traditional soy foods can be part of a healthy dietary pattern that supports overall wellness. The larger lesson here is not about one specific food. It is about patterns. Healthy people rarely rely on a single superfood. Instead, they build eating habits centered around whole, minimally processed foods. And this brings us to another major factor that researchers continue to examine closely. Processed meats. Foods such as bacon, sausage, hot dogs, pepperoni, and deli meats are staples in many diets. Unfortunately, numerous studies have associated high consumption of processed meats with an increased risk of colorectal cancer. The reasons are complex and involve compounds formed during processing, preservation, and cooking. Once Michael learned this, he made a simple decision. He didn't eliminate everything overnight. Instead, he gradually reduced processed meats and began replacing them with healthier options. Beans, lentils, chickpeas, nuts, seeds, fish occasionally, more vegetables, more whole grains. What happened next surprised him. He felt fuller for longer periods. His digestion improved. His cholesterol improved. And he found it easier to maintain a healthy weight. This is important because excess body fat itself has been linked to increased risk for several types of cancer. Fat tissue is not simply a storage depot for calories. It is biologically active. It produces hormones and inflammatory compounds that can influence many systems throughout the body. Which brings us to a topic that deserves far more attention. Chronic inflammation. Most people are familiar with inflammation when they cut a finger or twist an ankle. That type of inflammation is normal and beneficial. It helps the body heal. Chronic inflammation is different. It is a low-level, ongoing state of immune activation that can persist for years. Researchers believe chronic inflammation may contribute to numerous age-related diseases, including heart disease, type 2 diabetes, cognitive decline, and certain cancers. What promotes chronic inflammation? Smoking, excess body fat, lack of physical activity, poor sleep, chronic stress, diets high in ultra-processed foods and added sugars. What helps reduce it? Regular physical activity, adequate sleep, stress management, healthy body weight, and a diet rich in fruits, vegetables, legumes, nuts, seeds, and other whole foods. Before we continue, I want you to think about your own lifestyle. If you had to choose one area that needs the most improvement right now, what would it be? Is it nutrition, exercise, sleep, stress? Let me know in the comments. Your answer may help someone else realize they're not alone. Now let's talk about blood sugar because this is an area that many adults over 60 overlook. Every time we eat, our blood sugar rises. That's normal. Our bodies release insulin to help move that sugar into cells where it can be used for energy. Problems begin when blood sugar remains elevated too often for too long. Chronically high insulin levels and insulin resistance have been associated with a variety of health concerns. Researchers continue to investigate how metabolic health may influence cancer development and progression. While the relationship is complex, one thing is clear. Maintaining healthy blood sugar levels supports overall health. This was one of the biggest turning points for Michael. As he improved his eating habits and became more active, his blood sugar readings gradually became more stable. His doctor was able to reduce some of his medications. He felt encouraged, not because he had discovered a miracle cure, but because he finally saw proof that positive changes were possible. Another factor that often surprises people is alcohol. Many individuals think of alcohol primarily in terms of liver health. But research has linked alcohol consumption to increased risk of several cancers, including cancers of the mouth, throat, esophagus, liver, breast, and colon. The risk generally increases with greater consumption. This doesn't mean you need to live in fear of every glass of wine. It simply means understanding that alcohol is not as harmless as many people assume. For some people, reducing alcohol consumption may be one of the simplest ways to improve long-term health. But if there is one lifestyle factor that may be even more underestimated than alcohol, it is sleep. Sleep is not merely rest. Sleep is active recovery. While you sleep, your brain processes information. Hormones are regulated. Immune cells perform critical functions. Damaged tissues are repaired. Metabolic systems reset. Yet millions of older adults regularly sleep fewer than 6 hours per night. Some even wear sleep deprivation like a badge of honor. Unfortunately, the body keeps score. Chronic sleep deprivation has been associated with increased inflammation, impaired glucose regulation, weakened immune function, and a variety of other health concerns. Michael used to stay awake late into the night watching television. He often slept poorly and woke up exhausted. Once he began prioritizing sleep, he noticed improvements he never expected. His energy increased. His concentration improved. His cravings for unhealthy foods decreased. He felt more motivated to stay active. The effects were powerful. And speaking of activity, let's discuss movement. Many people believe exercise only matters if it is intense. That simply isn't true. Walking, gardening, stretching, swimming, light resistance training, dancing, all movement counts. The human body was designed to move. Physical activity helps maintain muscle mass, improves insulin sensitivity, supports cardiovascular health, strengthens bones, enhances mood, and contributes to overall well-being. Some studies even suggest that regular physical activity may reduce the risk of several cancers. You don't need to become an athlete. You simply need to move more than you do now. A 10-minute walk is better than no walk. 15 minutes is better than 10. Progress matters more than perfection. And what I'm about to tell you next may be the most surprising lesson Michael learned during his entire journey. The greatest transformation wasn't physical. It was mental. For years, he believed aging meant decline. He believed that getting older automatically meant becoming weaker, sicker, and more dependent on medication. But as his health improved, he realized something important. Age itself was not the biggest obstacle. His habits were. Once he changed those habits, his future began to change as well. That realization changed everything for Michael. For years, he had blamed his age for every ache, every pound gained, every drop in energy, and every health challenge. He assumed that getting older automatically meant becoming weaker and more dependent. But the more he learned, the more he understood that while aging is inevitable, many aspects of how we age are influenced by the choices we make every day. This is one of the most important messages I can share with you today. Growing older is not the same as growing unhealthy. Unfortunately, many people confuse the two. They begin accepting symptoms that may actually be warning signs. They stop moving because they feel tired, but becoming less active makes them even more tired. They stop exercising because they feel weak, but inactivity causes further weakness. They stop challenging their minds because they think decline is unavoidable, but the brain, like the body, benefits from regular use. One unhealthy habit leads to another, and before they know it, they feel trapped in a cycle that seems impossible to escape. But here's the encouraging news. Small improvements can create powerful momentum. One healthier meal often leads to another. One short walk can become a daily routine. One good night's sleep can improve motivation the next day. Progress creates more progress. This is why I always encourage people to stop looking for dramatic overnight transformations and start focusing on small, sustainable actions. Because those actions compound over time. Think about a tree. You don't see it grow every day. Yet year after year it becomes stronger, taller, and more resilient. Health works much the same way. The choices you make today may not seem dramatic, but over months and years, they can completely change the direction of your life. There is another factor we haven't discussed yet, and it may surprise you. Loneliness. Researchers have repeatedly found that social isolation can negatively affect physical and mental health. Human beings are social creatures. We thrive on connection. Conversations matter. Friendships matter. Family matters. Purpose matters. People who maintain meaningful relationships often experience better overall well-being than those who remain isolated. This doesn't mean you need dozens of friends. It means staying connected. Call a family member. Visit a neighbor. Join a community group. Volunteer. Attend local events. Find opportunities to interact with others. Sometimes one meaningful conversation can improve your outlook more than you realize. Stress is another area that deserves attention. Modern life exposes many people to chronic stress. Financial concerns. Health concerns. Family responsibilities. Loss of loved ones. These experiences are part of life, especially as we get older. While we cannot eliminate stress completely, we can learn healthier ways to manage it. Chronic stress affects hormones, sleep quality, inflammation, and immune function. Over time, it can influence nearly every system in the body. This is why practices such as walking, prayer, meditation, deep breathing, spending time in nature, reading, listening to music, and connecting with loved ones can be so valuable. They help calm the mind and support the body's natural recovery processes. Remember, health is not just physical. It is emotional, mental, social, spiritual. All of these dimensions influence one another. Now let's return to the question we asked at the beginning of this video. What if cancer cells already exist somewhere inside your body? The answer may surprise you. For many people, they probably do. As we age, abnormal cells become increasingly common. The body is constantly repairing damage, correcting mistakes, and removing cells that no longer function properly. Most of the time, these systems work remarkably well. The important point is this: finding comfort in that fact does not mean ignoring your health. It means understanding that your future is not necessarily determined by what might already be happening inside your body. It means recognizing that you still have influence over many factors that affect your health and longevity. You can choose foods that support wellness. You can move your body regularly. You can prioritize sleep. You can manage stress more effectively. You can maintain meaningful relationships. You can reduce behaviors known to increase health risks. These actions may not guarantee perfect health, but they significantly improve the odds of aging well. Too many people spend their lives waiting for a diagnosis before making changes. They wait until blood sugar becomes dangerously high. They wait until blood pressure becomes uncontrolled. They wait until a major health scare forces them to act. But what if you didn't wait? What if today became your turning point? What if today became the day you decided to invest in your future self? Imagine yourself 1 year from now. Imagine having more energy when you wake up. Imagine walking with greater confidence. Imagine better blood sugar control, better sleep, better mobility, better overall health. These outcomes are often built one decision at a time, not through perfection, through consistency. Remember Michael, the 71-year-old who thought his best years were behind him. Today, he enjoys activities he once thought he had lost forever. He spends more time with his family. He stays active. He feels stronger, more optimistic, more engaged in life. The most remarkable part is not that his health improved. The most remarkable part is that he stopped believing change was impossible. That's the lesson I hope you take away from today's video. Never underestimate the body's ability to respond to positive habits. Never assume that your age prevents improvement. Never believe that it is too late to make a difference, because it rarely is. In fact, the decision you make today may be one of the most important decisions for your future health. Before we finish, I want you to do something for me. Go down to the comments and write the word strong. That's it. Just write strong. It tells me that you watched until the end and that you're committed to taking better care of yourself moving forward. I read your comments every day, and I truly enjoy seeing people encourage one another. We are building a community of individuals who believe that healthy aging is possible. A community that believes growing older does not mean giving up. A community that understands that every healthy choice matters. If you found value in this video, please take a moment to subscribe to the channel, like this video, and share it with a friend or family member who could benefit from hearing this message. You never know whose life might be changed by a simple conversation about health. Thank you for spending this time with me today. Thank you for caring about your future. And most importantly, thank you for giving yourself the opportunity to learn, grow, and improve. Until next time, stay healthy, stay active, stay hopeful, and remember that every positive choice you make today is an investment in the life you want to live tomorrow.